recording. Hey, this is going to be Wednesday, October 7th, and this is the advanced class because if you're regular, don't watch this one because it's a story that you're not going to read, and it is just going to confuse you. Advanced kids, you should definitely be watching, or you should be here watching the live version. All right, no, I forgot to unfreeze things. How about you? There we go. And aha. The B.2 is due, so don't make me torture you. Again, those of you who are blue children, if you're missing it when you show up tomorrow, I get to torture you. Those of you who are red kids, hopefully you get it submitted and turned in. And then the McNall, hopefully you figure out how assignments work and stuff like that, so I don't have to keep making fun of you because you like to taunt me with your hand raising. And, ooh, we got through this with you guys, did we not? I say yes, yay. Ooh, those of you who are at home, if you want to play the I get to yell at Mr. Broviak game, we're going to give you guys a couple rounds of we get to yell at Mr. Broviak. The trick is you have to make sure that you're unmuted already so that you can quickly yell at me, and you're not the kid that waits till I get done and I go, hey, what's the answer? And we all go, Jimmy, 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 Jimmy. And then I go, all right, now, and you're like, Jimmy, and you come in a minute late because then again, I'm going to have to throat punch you straight through the screen. So that way you have to have, because you're already on a delay, so you have to be really fast with your answers so I don't have to mock you. You know what? You can't spell McNall without mockery. Anyway, exposition. What is our short, easy form of exposition?
Boring beginning.
Beginning boring stuff.
Nicely done, kids at home. You're almost fast on that one. A little bit proud of you. Boring beginning stuff. And then for rising action, it's going to be
Exciting stuff.
Exciting.
It's so much fun playing with you guys. The exciting stuff. And then we get the climax, which is
Big
Major
OMG
OMG
moment.
Ryan, falling action.
OMG explained.
Way to go, Maddie. I think you're my only kid at home who yelled on that one. It brought you, I know. Maddie's like, I'm so happy. And then resolution.
Boring
Boring
ending.
ending.
Boring ending.
Good job, my
Stop.
little zombie choir. This thing right here. Why are you on my screen? There you go. And nice. Back to here. This next part. No, wait. We already did mountain with you guys. All right. So at the very beginning of it, how does the story begin?
Exposition.
Exposition.
When we get to the exciting stuff where the story gets
Rising
deeper,
climax.
Rising action.
and you get to the most critical.
Climax.
Climax.
Now it's not
Falling
quite.
action.
Falling
action. Resolution. Expedition.
Resolution.
I'm hoping you guys are as entertained as I am, trying to hear all try to yell at the same time. You're like, yay, internet delay. All right. Can we get some stories of fishermen with you guys? Oh, then in that case, you guys should be smart. Kids at home, now you don't get to yell at me. You get to yell at me with your fingers because you're going to be holding, not that finger. You're going to be using all of your fingers to show me either 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And so you're going to tell me which number it's going to be. All right? All right. Yes, those are the fingers, Squidkins. Good job. Are you trying to yell? What, Squidkins?
Did you ask if we did this?
Yes.
We did this.
Yes. Good job. So then this should be easy for you, which means I can, don't give me the confused face, which means I can go through it really fast because you know the answers. So I can go, which of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, is our exposition? Hold up number. See? That's where I get to figure out which kids paid it. C. Squidkins, where's your, there you go. Don't make me yell at you. And then, because it should be the boring beginning stuff, you should be telling me I'm number 1. Is it exposition was, the fisherman only fishes a certain number of times and his final time brings in a jar. After exposition, we have rising action. Hold up your finger for rising action, or fingers as it might be. And then I'm just having to make fun of Hits, who doesn't know how fingers work. Nicely done. Hi, Hits. Wait now. And after rising action, we get to the most exciting part of story. And then, oh, good job, kids. Are you holding up a 1? Yeah, hold up a, hang on a second. Zeke was already here. Welcome back, Zeke. All right, you should have, oh, Valerie's holding up a European 3. Nicely done. We have the climax. And then we get to falling action. And what number is falling? And then the last one's going to be resolution. And hopefully you, what number are you holding up, Squidkid? There you go. They did. This first one, I tried to give you super easy version. They just went in order. That was my way of giving you super easy one. Now, let's give you one that's going to require you to think. Lady and the Tiger. So on this one, I will read them to you, but you're going to try and figure out which one is exposition, and that's the number you're going to be holding up. Ready? The princess discovers what is behind each door and then decides which one to point to for the boy. The girl is caught saying love to the gardener's son, and he is put on trial using the two doors. We find out that the two characters love each other. We are robbed of this in the story because it ends suddenly, and the gardener's son walks over to the right-hand door and opens it, and we don't get to find out what is there. Which one do you think is exposition? You're holding up number. No, good job. Numbers are hard. And kids at home. And we're having issues. And I agree. Love is boring. If exposition is boring beginning stuff and it says love, everyone knows that love is not very exciting. And then after exposition, we get to rising action. And your rising action number, you can't hold up 3 again, Valerie. You already did 3. There you go. Numbers are hard. I know. NWEA testing is tomorrow. Get scared. I mean, not tomorrow. Tomorrow, Friday. And then you guys, you figure it out, and then nicely done. Back. I agree. The rising action. Now it has love, but it's love and death. That's the only reason that love gets to be exciting, because love and death together are all kinds of fun. I'll make sure she did come in, right? All right, make sure. Then our most exciting moments. Our climax is going to be, and kids at home. And apparently I'm watching you guys be lazy. Lazy children, not all of you. Some of you guys are good kids. It's the lazy kids who are just staring at the wall. Are you making your number one dance? All right. I agree, but climax, we're all of a sudden, we're going to find out that he's going to die, and the whole door thing, we're excited. And then we get to following action, which is going to be, and I would agree, gardener's son walks over to it, and then resolution, the very last one, which should be like the ease. There you go. And this one, because the story just ends, we have no resolution to it. I would agree there. Nicely done. All right. Now, some of you guys feel all kinds of special to taunt you. Don't worry, it's going to be even worse on the next one. Let's see if you do a little bit better. Boy World. The video that we did last week about the boy and the school and the dropping out and the weather and stuff like that. So we'll see how well you can do with this one. So it should be, I'll read them to you. Weather job interferes with school and Eric's grades drop. TV station fires Eric when they discover he no longer is in school. Eric decides he wants to go back to school to get an education. Eric fights with dad and drops out of school to be weatherman. We find out that Eric is working at a weather station for a class. Starting with exposition, we're going to go with and kids at home. Then I would agree. Nicely done. Just like if you have an iPad and you're currently using it, I'm probably going to have to charge you points since you have no need to have your iPad, unless you're my kid standing. Unless you're going to make me have to torture a kid. Oh, making me torture a kid. After exposition, then we get to rising action. And rising action, are you sassing me, Valerie? I believe you might be sassing me a little bit. I accept your sass. Then, everyone here is telling me that I'm the number one teacher. So I'm assuming they're just complimenting me. And you guys are all like, I'm number one. Nicely done. Plus, I'm really glad that you guys decided to use this finger when you were telling me that I'm number one. That made me happy. So I would agree. That is our rising action there. Then, after rising, the most exciting moment of story. Then I have, sassy face. We have disagreement. Between, I see both 2s and 4s. Ruh-roh. Now I see a 2 that switched to 4. Between, see Eric fights with dad and drops out of school to be weatherman. TV station fires Eric when they discover he no longer is in school. That rising action. I would go with number 4 probably. Eric fights with dad and drops out of school. That was that big moment. He was like, I'm dropping out. And he gets all angry and stuff like that. Your number of last. All right. And then if that's the climax, and that should make it pretty easy, there you go. Following action. That's when they have to fire him because it comes after. And all right. Good job, you guys. Let's do one last practice story before we get to our fun story for today. Let's go with, should we do? We'll do this one, right? Yes, we'll do after 20 years. So, all right. With this one, if Bob discovers that Jimmy is taller and his nose grew, what? Bob discovers Jimmy is a lie and he has been arrested. Patrolman finds man standing in doorway of empty store. Jimmy gives Bob a note that will hopefully help him out. Bob explains to the officer why everything is so normal. So starting off with our exposition. And I would agree. Nicely done. Your exposition, patrolman finds man standing in doorway. Then we get to exciting stuff, and exciting stuff, and exciting stuff. And you already used 3, Valerie. You can't use 3 again. You came back, but Mr. Broviak, I really like 3. That's not how it works. You can't double down. And I would agree. Bob explains to the officer why everything is so normal, and that's me. He was doing the whole talking. We're all good. And then we get to our climactic moment. And the major climactic moment. Yeah, I know. I speak loudly. And then you guys are again. All right. Apparently, some of you guys are having some issues. I would agree for those of you who are there. You fixed it. All right. Who are saying I'm the best teacher? Thank you. I feel the same way. That's why I even put the what in there. What? Because of that whole idea. Third period disagreed with me on the last 2. And I put them in a different order than they did. Because the whole story ends so quickly and abruptly, it kind of gets all smashed together. I'm not going to worry about the last 2. So however you put it is fine. So either which one you put for following action. Apparently you guys all say, you're going. Uh-oh. And I went for 4. It's okay. It's okay. They're rioting in here. They have flipped over desks. There's a fire in the corner. It's okay. Settle down. Like I said, the story ended so quickly. I'm okay with this disagreement because I don't think it's a strong. I mean, I like the ending, but I think as far as figuring out the 2 of those, I disagree. But I'm fine with it. This is not the type of story where I would test you on resolution following action because I think it's a little confusing. Yes. What?
I object.
I accept your objection.
Because Bob first discovered that the guy's he's like, hey, like your nose changed, like what? And so then the guy's like, let's go down to the station, you're being arrested, and then he hands Jimmy the note.
The problem is, I saw it as he gives him the note, and that's our sort of the following action. And then as you read the note, that becomes your resolution, where he explains everything at the end. That was my thinking. But again, you guys disagreeing is okay. That's how thinking works.
I changed my mind. Let's take a vote. Take a vote.
All right. About me charging kids points? No, I'm not going to vote on it. I'll just do it nicely. You can't overthrow me hits. That's not the way it works, silly child. All right. Now, let's get to our story for today. You thought that was good. We're going to get to this. Foreshadowing. The reason why you guys have notes sheet, we just got done talking about the 5 elements. Now we're going to go down to the part that says foreshadowing on there, because we have foreshadowing, and we're going to get to one of our 2 last things to define on here. You guys know what foreshadowing is?
Yeah, I know.
What's foreshadowing?
Foreshadowing is where like the author drops hints about what's going to happen in the story.
There you go. Clues in the story that are going to help you out. So foreshadowing, there are going to be clues in the story that are going to help you figure out how things ended. You can call it whatever you want as long as you know what it is. You can call it a squirrel's tail. As long as when it comes time to the story, you can figure it out. Home children, here's where I'm giving them a copy of story that we're getting ready to read. That's why I disappeared from you. So for those who have copy, you're going to get it out so we can talk about it. All right. By what? It's not, you're holding it upside down. Right over. Yeah. Not my fault, you hold paper for me. Yes. Oh, you could. I knew how to do it. It was on purpose. That is adorable of you. I'm a professional paper thrower. All right, then to you guys. Here we go. So, you guys remember Lady and the Tiger? Remember Lady and the Tiger? How does that story end?
It does.
And nicely done, Parker. It does not end. It just stops. Here's the problem. The story we're going to get to today, same thing. It just stops in the middle of the story. But I'm not going to make you read a story like that. This story has an ending. The ending is just not in the story. The only way to figure out what happens at the end is there are foreshadowing clues throughout the entire thing. If you can imagine Lady and the Tiger, but the author gives you clues throughout the story about what she's going to do, and then all of a sudden you get to the end, and you're like, oh my God, I know exactly what happened. That's how this story ends. You will absolutely know how this story ends. It's just the only way to figure it out is through thinking. Well, Mr. Broviak, me dum-dum, me no think. I know. That's why I'm here to guide you. I'm going to help you figure out how thinking works. That is my gift to you. The drawback for those of you at home is I'm not putting it up on screen because I have pictures to show you. I will read it and you'll get to hear my melodic voice and some of the voices I'm going to do. But as far as the reading of it, you're going to have your own paper, or I'll hook you guys up with paper tomorrow. Those of you who are here, you have paper that you've already written your name on because you're responsible on the off chance you were to lose it. And that way we can get it back to you, my responsible children. Here we go. Our story, The Landlady. Hang on 1 second. All right, big breath. So as we get into this one, you're going to figure out characters and figure out setting and a little bit of the plot. So you have to figure out who is the story about, where is it taking place, when is it taking place, and where's the guy going? Because that's going to be getting into it. So figure out those bits. And for those of you at home, I'll get a chance to call on you in a second. I wish you the best of luck. I don't know what do you no. Oh, you don't have to write this down. You just put it in your brain, or if you have the paper, you can just circle it. The main thing is when I yell at you, Squidkins, and go, Squidkins, who's the main character? You can go, the fish, and you can just yell at me, and you know what it's going to be. All right, I wish you luck. The Landlady. Billy Weaver had traveled down from London on the slow afternoon train with a change at Reading on the way. And by the time he got to Bath, it was about 9 o'clock in the evening, and the moon was coming up out of a clear, starry sky over the houses opposite the station entrance. But the air was deadly cold, and the wind was like a flat blade of ice on his cheeks. Excuse me, he said, but is there a fairly cheap hotel not too far away from here? Try the Bell and Dragon, the porter answered, pointing down the road. They might take you in. It's about a quarter of a mile long on the other side. Billy thanked him, picked up his suitcase, and set out to walk the quarter mile to the Bell and Dragon. He had never been to Bath before. He didn't know anyone who lived there, but Mr. Greenslade at the head office in London had told him it was a splendid city. Find your own lodgings, he said, and then go along and report to the branch manager as soon as you've got yourself settled. Billy was 17 years old. He was wearing a new navy blue overcoat, a new brown trilby hat, and a new brown suit. And he was feeling fine. He walked briskly down the street. He was trying to do everything briskly these days. Briskness, he had decided, was the one common characteristic of all successful businessmen. The big shots up at head office were absolutely fantastically brisk all the time. They were amazing. Quick timeout, pause. We only have one real character. Who's our one real character? Billy Weaver. How old is Billy? 17. So we have Billy Weaver, 17. Now, when is our story taking place as far as like time of day? 9 o'clock at night. Nice. Ooh, and we can kind of figure out what season it is because he tells you what temperature is going on. So what season would you guess? Why winter? There you go, because of the ice cold, stuff like that. And by the way, those of you who are at home, if you leave yourself unmuted and you can yell at me quickly, you're welcome to play the Yell at Mr. Broviak game as long as you're speedy with it. I wish you luck. Also, where is our story taking place? Coming down, he's going down to a place called Bath. Where did he come from?
London.
Where is London?
England.
Nicely done. In England. So that's where you have to pick up on the clues. This story is taking place in England because he's going from London to another city. Also, how did he get to the city?
By train.
There you go, by train. Last question for you. What is he looking for here?
A place to stay.
Good job, home children. A place to stay. And that's what he's trying to find, a hotel. He's like, hey, I need to stay somewhere tonight. So he's trying to find a place to stay. And they recommend the Bell and Dragon, which, by the way, is an awesome hotel name. I would totally stay there, too. That beats Holiday Inn Express every time. And that's what he's going to try and find. But like every good story, as he goes to try to find the hotel, fun things happen. Let's get to fun things. Oh, wait, I have a picture for you. Brown Trilby hat. Now, it's not as cool as Owen's hat, but this is the hat that is talking about him wearing it. So he's trying to look all fancy and businessman-y, and he's got like his fancy brown suit. Because once again, how old is Billy? Remember that's going to play a role in here. And he's already out in the world in the business thing. So he's no longer in school. He's already out there like working a job thing. We're going to find out it was taking place like several years ago when 17 was considered adulty. Now 17 is not quite as adulty, but whatever. All right. There were no shops in this wide street that he was walking along. Only a line of tall houses on each side, all of them identical. They had porches and pillars and 4 or 5 steps going up to the front door. And it was obvious that once upon a time, they had been very swanky residences. But now, even in the darkness, he could see that the paint was peeling from the woodwork on their doors and windows, and that the handsome white facades were cracked and blotchy from neglect. Suddenly, in a downstairs window that was brilliantly illuminated by a street lamp not 6 yards away, Billy caught sight of a printed notice propped up against the glass in one of the upper panes. It said, bed and breakfast. There was a vase of flowers, tall and beautiful, standing just underneath the notice. He stopped walking. He moved a bit closer. Green curtains, some sort of velvety material, were hanging down on either side of the window. The flowers looked wonderful beside them. He went right up and peered through the glass into the room, and the first thing he saw was a bright fire burning in the hearth, meaning fireplace. On the carpet in front of the fire, a pretty little dachshund was cuddled up asleep with his nose tucked into its belly. The room itself, so far as he could see in the half darkness, was filled with pleasant furniture. There was a baby grand piano and a big sofa and several plump armchairs, and in one corner he spotted a large parrot in a cage. Animals were usually a good sign in a place like this, Billy told himself, and all in all, it looked to him as though it would be a pretty decent house to stay in. Certainly, it'd be more comfortable than the Bell and Dragon. Pausing again. You guys know what a dachshund is? Nice, the dog. This little donut dog, where you can like fold it around and you can bite into it. It's like, it's delicious. And so that's the little dachshund he's talking about. So as Billy's on his way to find a hotel, he finds what's called a bed and breakfast. You guys know what a bed and breakfast is?
Yeah.
All right. So for those of you who don't know bed and breakfast, it's like a hotel, but you stay in someone's house. And so you can actually rent out a room and you make the person food the next day, and you have like a bed for them to stay in. So instead of going to a hotel like the Holiday Inn, you would actually go to a person's house and you would stay with them. If you know where Conner Prairie is here in Fishers, right across the street from Conner Prairie, There's this huge green farmhouse there. That is a bed and breakfast here in Fishers. You can actually pay to stay there, and they cook you breakfast the next day, and you can stay there for the night. It's way more expensive than staying in a normal hotel, but you get the benefit of like sleeping in a normal bed, and you get to have dinner like at a kitchen table. And if you're traveling and you're missing people, it's a great place to stay. That's what Billy's looking at. Ooh, Billy has a decision to make. Stay here at this bed and breakfast or go on to the Bell and the Dragon. What do you call it when you have to make a decision? Nicely done. That's where the internal conflict comes in. So he's trying to figure out, should I go on to this hotel or should I stay here at this place? Let's find out more about this place. Because we're now past the boring beginning stuff. What's the boring beginning stuff called? What comes after exposition? Now we're going to start getting to the rising action. On the other hand, he keeps referring to it as a pub. A pub is a hotel that has a bar in the bottom part of it. They were super popular in England for a long time, where you'd be able to drink downstairs, and then when you were too drunk to go home, you would just literally go upstairs and they'd have rooms for you to stay in. So that's what he's talking about going to. But Mr. Broviak, isn't he 17? He is 17, but in England, you start drinking at 16. So he's good to go and excited. On the other hand, a pub would be more congenial than a boarding house, meaning outgoing and friendly. There would be beer and darts in the evenings and lots of people to talk to, and it'd probably be a good bit cheaper too. He'd stayed a couple of nights in a pub once before, and he had liked it. He'd never stayed in any boarding houses, and to be perfectly honest, he was a tiny bit frightened of them. The name itself conjured up images of watery cabbage and greedy landladies and a powerful smell of fish in the living room. The reason being on that last part is one of the problems with a boarding house is that you have to eat whatever they serve. They don't have a menu. So when they serve dinner, you just eat whatever the family's eating. And so if you eat at a place and like we're serving liver and onions, you eat liver and onions. That's one of the drawbacks to it. Tomorrow, we're going to find out more about this place and why it's such a fun story. Those of you at home, you get to bring back story. Those of you here, we'll see you guys later. Enjoy the rest of your day in fifth period and stuff like that. I know, it's like fourth period, but not as good. All right.
Bye.
Toodles. And